They say every home tells a story, but what if the story it tells isn't yours? What if it belongs to someone who died there? Someone who refuses to move on? In the bustling heart of Delhi, among hostels and student flats, lies a silent witness to horror. This is the terrifying true story of a student whose search for solitude became a descent into madness, or something far darker. This is not just a ghost story. It's a haunting that asks a question we all fear. What if the voices in your head aren't yours at all? Abhinav had always dreamed of moving to Delhi. To him, the city was freedom, a break from the monotony of his small hometown and a step closer to becoming someone of substance. In 2012, he got admitted to the prestigious Hindu college at Delhi University. Like most freshers, he spent the first few weeks crashing with friends. Rajiv, his childhood buddy, shared a cramped PG accommodation with 3 others. It was loud, chaotic, and practically a party zone. Abhinav, studious and introverted, couldn't concentrate. He needed his own space. He soon found a modest 1-bedroom flat in the residential lanes of Vijaynagar, just a stone's throw from campus. It was perfect, affordable, sunlit, close to college, and, most importantly, quiet. But perfect places often have perfect secrets. It's not uncommon for students across India to move into hastily rented flats near universities. The demand is high, and landlords rarely disclose a property's history. Often, these homes have dark pasts, suicides, accidents, or worse, that remain unspoken. In 2020, a Delhi-based NGO reported that over 60% of student rentals lacked proper registration and background checks. Abhinav's flat was one such place. Sunday afternoon, Delhi's air hung heavy with heat. Abhinav dragged his suitcases up the narrow staircase of his new home. The place smelled faintly of dust and incense, but otherwise seemed normal. While cleaning out an old bedside drawer, he stumbled across a pair of antique silver earrings, tarnished yet ornate, likely forgotten by a previous tenant. He tossed them in the drawer again and went back to unpacking. That night, exhaustion overtook him. He fell asleep almost immediately, the city noise melting into silence. But at exactly 2:43 a.m., he woke up to the soft, unmistakable sound of a woman crying, right next to his ear. This is where the story shifts. Nearly every documented case of a haunting starts with sound, often weeping, whispers, or footsteps. Why crying? Psychologists suggest it's because crying triggers primal human empathy and fear. But what if the sound isn't in your head? First, he thought it was a dream, but the sobs grew louder, then abruptly stopped. Seconds later, from the far corner of the room, came a blood-curdling scream. His eyes snapped open. No one was there. Abhinav tried to dismiss it as stress. New city, new routine, it could just be nerves. But night after night, the same sounds returned. Worse, the bedroom door began locking on its own. The crying continued until dawn. His sleep eroded, and with it, his grip on reality. Friends brushed off his calls with the usual lines. "You're just tired. Maybe you imagined it. Try a sleep app or something." Even Rajiv, busy with exams, couldn't come over. So, Abhinav started sleeping on the living room couch, thinking he could escape whatever was haunting his bedroom. But the spirit followed. That's when he began dreaming about the girl, sitting in a corner, crying violently, and then leaping from a building. This isn't fiction. India is home to thousands of haunted rental claims, especially in metro cities where housing turnover is high. One such case involved a Mumbai student who reported poltergeist activity in her Bandra flat in 2018. Doors would lock by themselves, faucets turned on, and tenants claimed they saw a girl in white vanishing into walls. Rajabai Clock Tower Incident, Mumbai, 2016. A student from South Mumbai reported frequent sightings of a woman in old-fashioned clothing in their university dorm. A year later, it was discovered the dorm had once housed nurses during the 1947 riots, and several had died violently there. Stories like these share a chilling theme: residual energy. It's not about evil spirits. It's about unresolved trauma lingering in space. Could that be what Abhinav faced? Sleep-deprived and terrified, Abhinav began to change. Friends noticed at first dark circles under his eyes, a growing paranoia in his voice, and the way he flinched at sudden noises. His phone calls became frantic. "She's here again, Rajiv. I hear her every night. She's not letting me sleep." Rajiv urged him to see a psychiatrist. Eventually, Abhinav agreed. Dr. Shalini Mehta, a reputed psychologist in Connaught Place, evaluated him for trauma, sleep disorder, even schizophrenia. But her diagnosis was inconclusive. Dr. Mehta's notes: patient shows signs of acute stress, borderline hallucinations, but responds logically under observation. No history of psychosis. Claims to see and hear a woman with rotting flesh and silver earrings. Patient believes he is being haunted. Recommending extended sleep therapy and supervision. But no therapy could stop what came next. It was a stormy Thursday night in March when Abhinav saw her fully. Not in a dream, but in his flat, awake and alert. The lights flickered. The air grew ice cold. From the bathroom mirror, a face appeared. Half her skin blackened and blistered, the other soaked in tears. Her white sari clung to her thin, skeletal frame. On her ears, those same silver earrings. She walked toward him, dragging her feet, head tilted unnaturally. Abhinav couldn't scream. His voice caught in his throat as she raised a trembling hand and pointed at the drawer. "Give them back." He collapsed. For 2 hours, he lay curled on the floor, trembling, sobbing uncontrollably. That night, he called Rajiv, begging him to come over. When Rajiv arrived, he found Abhinav hiding under a blanket, muttering incoherently. Rajiv's recollection: he was soaked in sweat. He kept saying she was angry, that she wouldn't let him go. "I wanted to take him out of that flat immediately, but he refused to move." They stayed together until morning. Rajiv tried to laugh it off, chalking it up to sleep deprivation. But even he admitted the apartment felt off. Walls too quiet, the air too heavy. With mounting concern, Rajiv admitted Abhinav to a private psychiatric facility near Hauz Khas. Over the next few days, his condition stabilized. No crime, no victims. Doctors began planning a release. But 2 days before discharge, Abhinav was found missing from his room during early rounds. Security footage revealed the horrific truth. The grainy footage showed Abhinav walking toward the hospital terrace at 3:12 a.m. He wasn't alone. Behind him, barely visible, was a flickering female silhouette, glitching like a corrupted file. No nurse matched her description. Abhinav paused at the railing, turned around, as if speaking to someone. Then, without a sound, he jumped. When hospital staff retrieved the body, they found something strange clutched in his right hand: the silver earrings. Police ruled the death a suicide. The hospital declined to comment on the security footage, citing data corruption. The flat was emptied, cleaned, and listed again. No disclosure of Abhinav's death. Was Abhinav haunted, or was he the victim of a severe psychotic break? Psychologists argue for the latter, pointing to stress-induced hallucinations and environmental triggers. But believers in the paranormal say otherwise. The earrings, never traced to a prior tenant. The visions, unexplained by medical science. The footage, never released to the public. And the flat, vacant once again. Cases like Abhinav's blur the line between psychology and the supernatural. Codard's delusion, a rare condition where a person believes they are dead or don't exist, often accompanied by hallucinations. Sleep paralysis, often cited in paranormal encounters, causing victims to hear whispers, feel pressure on the chest, or see figures, commonly referred to as the old hag. Residual hauntings. Paranormal theorists suggest certain events imprint on a space, tragedies that repeat endlessly like a broken record. Was Abhinav suffering a mental collapse triggered by isolation, pressure, and fatigue? Or was he simply a tenant in the wrong place, at the wrong time? The most tragic part of this story isn't the ghost. It's that Abhinav was alone. Whether haunted by spirits or his own mind, he reached out, begged for help, and was misunderstood at every step. In our race to rationalize, we often forget to listen. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, this story is a reminder. No cry for help should be ignored, because sometimes the scariest hauntings aren't from beyond the grave, but from within the human soul. After Abhinav's tragic death, the flat remained vacant for a while. The landlord, when finally reachable, insisted nothing was wrong. A few months later, it was rented to a new tenant, a quiet girl named Mira, studying architecture at the same university. She found the flat unusually cold, but she liked the solitude. She was sensitive, artistic, always sketching, and just a little haunted herself. 1 week after moving in, she discovered something strange tucked inside the drawer of the side table near the bed. A sketchbook, leather-bound, its cover slightly scorched at the edges. Inside, page after page of dark, feverish drawings. The same woman over and over. Long hair, hollow eyes, often falling, often crying, sometimes smiling with sharp teeth. Some pages were smeared in what looked like blood. Others were charred. The last page simply read, "She's not done." Mira laughed nervously. "Art therapy," she muttered. Whoever lived here had issues. But that night, when Mira went to sleep, the faint sound of crying came from the corner of her room. Not loud, just persistent. And when she turned over to cover her ears, a sharp pain lanced her side. She pulled back the blanket. One of her earrings was gone, and in its place, embedded in her skin, was a rusted old junka. Maybe the flat isn't haunted. Maybe it's just hungry. Every so often, it finds someone lonely, someone cracked just enough to hear the crying. And every time it does, it learns. It evolves. Abhinav wasn't the beginning, and Mira, she won't be the end. If this story gave you chills, or made you think twice about moving into a new place, leave a fire in the comments. Have you ever had a paranormal experience? Or known someone who did? Drop your story below. I read every comment. And if you want more terrifying true tales like this one, make sure to subscribe, like, and turn on notifications, because the next story might be about a place you know.